Today, Jujutsu Kaisen, the shonen action romp involving monster of the week type curses, a somewhat ninja-like organization that fights them, and plenty of pretty animation alongside colorful characters that'll get you interested and motivated to keep watching. At this point, it isn't a question about whether the series is good or not. It's a question of how good, and what that might mean going forward. Welcome to First Reaction. Let's jam. This video was brought to you by the Review Week of Awesome for 2020. Check the link in the description, but time is running out. So, in the intro, I used quite a number of terms to briefly describe Jujutsu Kaisen, or at least I referred to themes that would be familiar to anyone who has enjoyed different kinds of shonen over the last decade or so. Ninjas have been popular, curses and supernatural elements have been rampant, and, the Monster of the Week format has been nothing if not a staple of so many different shows. It's gone beyond cliche, and it's just into the realm of being expected at this point for any long-running series. But does it handle all of these elements well? In a word, yes. Jujutsu Kaisen follows the life of one Yuji Itadori, a somewhat naive teenager with a stubborn grandfather figure and a set of morals common to your typical shonen protagonist. Heavily valuing life and an idealistic vision of fairness. Itadori comes into contact with a finger of Setsuna, an extremely cursed object that used to belong to a legendary demon, and it contains a portion of his power that nearby curses and monsters would love to consume and gain control of. Over the course of the show's initial episode, Itadori finds himself in a situation where, in order to save two fellow teenage friends, he has to combat a curse. Thinking quickly, he does what he thinks is the best move. He eats the finger of Setsuna to gain its power. We are told from a nearby curse hunter that this normally would have given the soul of Setsuna an avatar of sorts, where Setsuna would overwhelm Itadori's consciousness, take over his body, and return to the land of the living, reborn. But that doesn't happen, as Itadori has the inexplicable ability to pacify Setsuna's consciousness instead. Since the curse from the finger is so dangerous, however, Itadori is given a choice by our new curse hunter friend and his mentor, Satoru. Die now so that this part of the curse that he has already consumed will be safely destroyed, since apparently if Itadori dies, he'll take that cursed piece with him, or work with the school of Jujutsu sorcerers to find more pieces of Setsuna, keep them under control, and then he can die later so that all of the pieces can be properly exercised at once. Guess which he chooses to go with. I am reminded heavily of the first few episodes I watched of Demon Slayer, only, a year or so ago? I made a video on how that series took many popular shonen tropes and refined them for a more modern audience and modern tastes, taking what worked about those old shonen formulas and adding just enough to make them still interesting and fresh. Jujutsu Kaisen is doing a very similar thing here, but not to knock it very heavily, I don't feel like it's adding a lot versus just continuing to refine what already exists. Many of the elements that exist in these first 3 episodes are fairly standard, so how I've been looking at it is like this. There's this video going around a month or so ago showing off the quality of teapots and how different liquids can be poured from them. Stick with me, I am trying to make a point here. Lower quality teapots have very spotty pours, while great quality ones keep an extremely consistent flow rate. At the end of the day, if you are making tea, the vast majority of people probably won't care how well the teapot pours as long as it doesn't affect tea quality. But for those who do care, the consistent flow rate is nothing but a positive to have. In the case of Jujutsu Kaisen, if how well it executes common shonen tropes was the pour rate, it is certainly in the higher tier of teapots. It has been doing everything right. The animation is on point, the characters are interesting and intriguing, our main character especially.
Itadori Yuji desu. Konome no type wa Jennifer Lawrence. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. Nani shi ni kita?
And it has an overall story arc that has me engaged. Now, I could sit here and talk about how it doesn't add anything to these common formulas in a negative way, but in this case, I don't feel like going with a if it ain't broke, don't fix it mentality is wrong. The series has been extremely enjoyable thus far, and if I have to worry about anything with it, it's about the potential for the production to start slipping as time goes by. but we'll get back to that. Instead, it's probably time that I get to discussing the curse in the room, as it were. The insinuation made in the video's title. Will Jujutsu Kaisen be the next big thing? Why is this even something we are bringing up, first of all? Well, because when the mangaka for My Hero Academia says on record that a series will become one of the new pillars of the legendary Shonen Jump, that is not a claim we should take lightly. Sure, it is possible that Horikoshi-sensei was just trying to help drum up massive amounts of hype for this series because perhaps he himself is a fan, or it could be something that was influenced by the producers at Jump themselves, trying to further sell the original manga. In either case, could Kaizen be the next big thing? Can? Yes. Is it currently? I'd say no, not yet. Again, I'm not trying to knock the series all that heavily, but when you aim for perfection like that, you better not miss. And while I have been heavily enjoying this series so far, I don't get the same kind of wow factor that I've gotten from other shonen series in the past. At least, and please let me stress this, not yet. Because with only 3 episodes, as good as it's been so far, I do not feel like it deserves a place at the same table as legendary shonen of years past, though honestly, this should not be surprising. Most shonen take a number of arcs to get really good. Bleach was famous for not hitting its stride until the Soul Society arc, which in anime terms didn't start until episode 21. Personally, I didn't fall in love with Hunter x Hunter until the York New City arc, episode 45. Like, there is a precedent for shonen anime to only get better with age and more episodes. Not every series needs to explode with awesomeness off the bat, like with what Demon Slayer was pretty much able to do. So the question then becomes, will Jujutsu Kaisen be allowed to even get that far? Remember when My Hero Academia first came out in 2016? How it was only granted a measly 13 episodes? Oh boy, does that feel weird now. It wasn't until the following year that it got followed up with its 25 episode second season, and heck, now it's almost at what? 90 some odd episodes? Hiroaka was given the chance to continue and gain traction as a longer running shonen anime. Now, currently, Jujutsu Kaisen is slated to have 24 episodes, at least to start. Will that be enough to allow it to build a decent foundation? History says yes, but just because Bones was able to pull it off with Hiroaka doesn't mean that MAPPA can do the same here. Now, I love MAPPA. It has handled a number of superb shows, but with the strain that the pandemic has had on anime this year, and the fact that the studio is also trying to juggle finishing off the Attack on Titan adaptation for the end of this year, I think I am well within my rights to worry a bit on both if they can handle all that and if it won't have consequences for their staff down the line. But, you know, perhaps my pessimism is getting the better of me. So, on a lighter note, damn, is this ED good or what? That's it. That's the tweet. Beyond all that, though, I have extremely high expectations and hopes for this series. Every episode looks to have been trending in Japan when it's come out, and there is a lot about this world and these characters that have me extremely invested in seeing how things are going to continue. Like, just episode 3's introduction of who I feel is best girl of season has done nothing but continue to make me hopeful for the future of the series. The fact that in a single Google search I've learned that she's also been called the Queen of Shonen Jump makes me very happy as well. Plus, and this might not be weird for anybody else, but it's kind of a big thing for me, I don't dislike any of the main characters, which I normally do with the shonen, or at least there's this one character that I tolerate, but honestly would not mind if they got written out post-haste. The main trio seem to have great chemistry too, though we haven't seen a large amount of interaction between Nobata and Megumi as of yet. Just a few snide comments, but I'm sure they're going to get along great. And Gojiro as a mentor figure has been superb, though, and I'm sure I'm just asking manga readers to spoil the crap out of me with this, but if any character here seems to be standing on a pile of death flags, it's him, which makes me worried and hesitant to love him more as a character than I currently do. I've been hurt too many times, man. With luck, this series has a long and bright future ahead of it. The potential is there, the quality of the production is there, at least so far. The manga's popularity hasn't yet reached the same heights as its other shonen brethren, but that doesn't mean it won't or can't get there. I'm just hopeful, which is rare for me, but at the moment, it's all I can be. So should you watch Jujutsu Kaisen? Yes. Very yes. This is not a tentative recommendation, though yeah, there's always the chance that the series craps the bed before the end of its run. If you want to wait and watch it all once it's finished and then have the benefit of hindsight, by all means do so, but this is one I think I will be watching weekly until the end. Of course, if that changes, I'll probably be lamenting future developments over on my Twitter feed, so follow me over there for updates. As usual, there will be links in the description to watch Jujutsu Kaisen on Crunchyroll, this being one of the few shows of the season that they actually have on there. A little odd, but I don't mind them not having the usual monopoly of my stream time for any given season that they normally do. And while this video is not sponsored, we do want to give a shout out to the 2020 Anime Making System project. This is a massive music video endeavor done by the same people who run the Animator Dormitory project, and the idea behind it is to fund a video production where the animators are paid a fair wage, and longer term, the project hopes to open a new anime studio with better working environments within the next 3 years. They're looking for support over on their Kickstarter, and the campaign has a bunch of well-known names both in the industry and in fan works attached to it, so if that's something you feel strongly and support, there will be a link in the description for you to check out. It's ongoing until November 22nd or so please do that. And lastly, a very special thank you to our patrons, without whom I would not be able to continue to do what I do, and so I thank you. Specifically, though, I would like to give very special thanks to Sadie Yamako, Wagyu221, Calhoun Boy, Hector Montemayor, Richard Emil Bradley, Rune Jacobson, and Ryphen Bonaparte, because you guys are especially awesome, and I thank you. And until next time, ladies, gentlemen, and others, watch more anime and stay frosty. Bye-bye!